bringing in, all sorts of acts, different genres of music. It's just known to have a good vibe.
Imagine a rapper so influential that he helped launch an entire family dynasty, yet stayed humble enough to let the music speak louder than his name. This is B Legit, born Brandt Jones, raised in the heart of Vallejo, where his journey began not in a studio, but in a high school marching band before heading to Grambling State University, long before hip-hop called his name. From those early days, he stepped into history alongside his cousin E40, helping form The Click, a crew that changed the sound of Northern California and carved out its own lane in West Coast rap. Then came the moment that stamped him in hip-hop forever. His feature on Tupac's All Eyez on Me, one of rap's most iconic albums. With a voice as heavy as concrete and a flow as deliberate as a slow-rolling bass line, B Legit became a collaborator to giants. Too Short, Scarface, Master P, UGK, Snoop, the list goes on. So if you think you know the story of West Coast hip-hop, you haven't heard anything until you've heard the story of B Legit, the voice, the legacy, and the legend of Vallejo. Long before he became B Legit, the resonant voice of West Coast hip-hop, he was Brandt Jones, a boy growing up in Vallejo, California, where the streets hummed with possibility like wires buzzing before a spark. Born on January 13, 1968, he entered a world alive with cultural change and musical energy. Vallejo shaped him through sound. Music moved through his home and neighborhood like a steady tide, carrying hip-hop, funk, and soul straight into his imagination. He absorbed it effortlessly, long before he knew how deeply it would anchor his future. His cousin, who would rise as E40, was following a similar path, their young lives running side by side like two melodies waiting to harmonize. In high school, Brandt's rhythm took form in the marching band, where he learned timing, discipline, and the art of creating structure from sound. Each rehearsal sharpened his internal pulse, slow and deliberate, a rhythm that later became his trademark. By the time he graduated in 1986, he carried a growing sense of purpose. College led him to Grambling State University, a chapter that broadened his world. Every class and every new connection shaped him quietly, like wind carving patterns into stone. Yet beneath it all, music kept tugging at him with a pull too strong to ignore. Eventually, he returned to Vallejo. B Legit's rise began in the early 90s when he teamed up with his cousins E40, D-Shot, and Sugar T to form The Click, a Vallejo-born group that would help shape Northern California hip-hop. Their 1992 debut, Down and Dirty, introduced his unmistakable voice, deep, deliberate, and commanding, like a drum beat echoing through concrete. It marked the start of a legacy powered not by industry hype but by family chemistry and the raw pulse of Bay Area streets. As The Click made their mark, B Legit carved out his own lane. His first solo project, A Trying to Get a Buck, 1993, revealed an artist with a gravitational pull of his own. Album by album, The Hemp Museum in 1996, Hempin' Ain't Easy in 2000, his catalog expanded like a growing storm, thick with experience, weight, and a commitment to the style that made him unmistakable. A pivotal moment arrived in 1996 when he appeared on Ain't Hard to Find, a standout track on Tupac's legendary All Eyez on Me. Landing a verse on such a monumental album was like stepping onto hip-hop's main stage under a blazing spotlight. Suddenly, B Legit wasn't just a Bay Area figure. He was part of the wider West Coast narrative. From there, his reputation only deepened. He became a trusted collaborator, lending his steady cadence, solid as steel, to tracks with icons like Scarface, Too Short, Snoop Dogg, Master P, Celly Cell, and UGK. His voice became the anchor on songs that needed grounding, the kind of presence that doesn't shout but resonates. Even as time moved on, B Legit kept evolving. Through the 2000s and 2010, he dropped projects like Block Movement, 2005, Throw Block Music, 2007, and What We've Been Doing, 2015, each reaffirming his status as one of the Bay's most enduring voices. His entrepreneurial drive emerged through his independent label, Block Movement, allowing him to champion new artists while maintaining full creative control. In 2018, he reunited with E40 for Connected and Respected, a celebration of their decades-long bond and the legacy they built together. When the album landed just outside the Billboard Top 100, it proved that their chemistry still hit like a spark in dry timber, igniting old and new fans alike. Though B Legit isn't decorated with mainstream trophies, his recognition lies in influence, not glitter, contributing to Tupac's Grammy-nominated album, appearing on influential 90s soundtracks like Tales from the Hood and Original Gangstas, charting with Connected and Respected, and earning the respect of icons across genres and generations. His achievements were forged through longevity, authenticity, and unwavering craft, qualities no award can fully capture. His voice became a bridge between eras, a reminder of a time when every verse landed with weight and intention. Today, B Legit stands as a true West Coast veteran, not one who chased the spotlight, but one who became impossible to overlook. His presence still ripples through the Bay and beyond, each bar carrying the grit, pride, and spirit of Vallejo, like a torch that refuses to dim. Behind the public persona, B Legit built a life grounded in quiet commitment. Verified accounts confirm he is married, though his wife remains intentionally out of the spotlight, and together they've raised 3 children, a family that burns steady and warm, like an ember protected from the chaos of the industry. Despite decades in hip-hop, he rarely lets his private world bleed into the public one. That choice reveals a man who guards loyalty as fiercely as he commands a beat. On stage, his voice thunders with authority. At home, he shifts into the role of husband and father, carving out peace amid the frenzy that follows a long career. Much of his romantic life remains intentionally hidden. Multiple sources note that he keeps his personal relationships low profile, with no confirmed partner details or dating history available, an uncommon silence in a culture obsessed with exposure. Still, what is known shows a man balancing the grind of music with the weight of fatherhood. While others in his circle lived out their romances under public scrutiny, B Legit chose a quieter path, letting his work speak louder than speculation. That decision reflects discipline and a desire to protect what matters most. Some entertainment sources suggest he may have fathered a larger family, with mentions of up to 8 children, though these claims are less consistently verified. What they do reflect, however, is a constant theme. B Legit's life has always been deeply rooted in family, tied as closely to fatherhood as it is to his Vallejo origins. His privacy has allowed his relationships to grow quietly, like a tree flourishing behind a sheltering wall. And the glimpses we do have, his confirmed marriage, his devotion to his children, and his choice to keep family separate from fame, reveal a man more reserved and intentional than his commanding rap persona suggests. Now let's move to an aspect of B Legit I know you're dying to hear about: his money. Because behind that deep Vallejo voice and decades of steady grind lies a financial story that grew with the same slow, confident rhythm that defines his flow. B Legit didn't wake up wealthy. He built his fortune gradually, the way a beat layers itself into a heavy bass line. His estimated net worth sits around $1 million, earned from years of releasing music, touring, and collecting royalties from a career rooted in authenticity. His earnings began in the booth: album sales, collaborations, and a voice that carved out its place in West Coast history. One move in particular strengthened his financial base. Appearing on Tupac's legendary All Eyez on Me, being part of such a timeless album means those royalty checks don't fade. They echo like a hook that never stops looping. But B Legit didn't stop at being an artist. He made a strategic shift into ownership by founding Block Movement, a label that allowed him to keep more of what he earned, own his masters on selected projects, and establish long-term financial footing. It wasn't flashy, but it was smart, the kind of business move that builds a backbone beneath a music career. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, he kept pushing out music: Block Movement, 2005, Throw Block Music, 2007, What We Been Doing, 2015. Each release stacking streaming revenue and publishing income as digital platforms exploded. Add to that his long list of collaborations with Snoop Dogg, Scarface, Master P, Too Short, UGK, and more, and you get a catalog that still pays every time a fan hits play. Then came 2018, a revival moment. He and E40 released Connected and Respected, and it climbed to number 103 on the Billboard 200. More than a chart number, it was a surge of streams, sales, and visibility that put fresh energy into his earnings. And with soundtrack placements in films like Tales from the Hood and Original Gangstas, he continued collecting licensing checks that padded his financial base. What's striking about B Legit's financial world isn't wild investments or loud entrepreneurial stunts. It's the quiet empire he built through longevity, ownership, and a catalog that never stopped generating income. His wealth doesn't shout, it hums. Steady, controlled, and impossible to ignore. Now let's shift into a topic everyone thinks they know, but almost no one actually does: where B Legit calls home and what his real estate world really looks like. Fans have long imagined the Vallejo giant stepping out of sprawling mansions like many chart-topping rappers, but his reality is far quieter, far more grounded, more in line with a man who's always chosen longevity over flash. Despite a long career and an estimated net worth of about $1 million, there are no confirmed public records revealing the addresses, values, or locations of any properties tied to his name. No mansion tours, no Zillow leaks, no glossy real estate features. Public property searches show nothing that can be verified as his. Like a shadow that moves just out of reach, his real estate footprint stays hidden. But that silence fits him perfectly. B Legit has always kept his private life sealed tight, letting the world hear the music while the rest of his life, family, finances, and home, stays tucked away like a guarded vault. His approach to real estate mirrors that privacy, revealing nothing unless he wants it known. What can be inferred is simple. Artists with a net worth around his level often invest in steady, mid to upper tier homes, usually falling somewhere between $400,000 and $900,000 depending on the market. And given his deep Vallejo roots, it wouldn't be surprising if part of his wealth sits in a home close to the city that shaped him, quiet investments that hold value the way his career has, slow and steady. These are educated possibilities, not confirmed details, but they align with the way he moves. The absence of flashy real estate rumors doesn't weaken his legacy, it strengthens it. Be Legit isn't defined by marble staircases or mansion gates. He's defined by consistency, loyalty, and financial choices made out of sight. Just like his homes, there's no public trail for his cars, no verified photos, no red carpet arrivals, no ownership listings anyone can point to with confidence. Public databases and paparazzi archives show nothing tied to his name, which fits Be Legit's lifelong habit of keeping the private things private. Still, a veteran with his resume and net worth lane doesn't live monk style. He spends quietly, like a bass line you feel before you hear. Think quiet luxury and tools of the trade, pieces artists at his level actually buy, with prices that hum rather than scream. Timepieces. A Rolex Day Date 40 President lists around $48,000 new at the boutique, while common market ranges for different metals/dials hover roughly $40,000 to $65,000 plus, with certain listings climbing higher. It's a status classic that keeps value like a metronome. Prefer something sleeker? The Cartier Santos Large Steel sits in the mid-luxury pocket. Retail about $8,650, with active resale commonly $6,000 to $9,000 plus. Clean lines, quiet flex. Travel. The celebrity workhorse duffel, Louis Vuitton Keepall Bandoulière 55, runs approximately $2,700 brand new, while pre-loved swings approximately $700 to $1,900 plus depending on condition and canvas. Practical flash, airport proof. On the Utend, a Hermes Birkin isn't a bag, it's an asset. A Birkin 25 is approximately $13,500. Birkin 30 is approximately $14,900. Larger sizes $16,300 to $20,300 in 2026 boutiques, with resale often above retail for coveted specs. Quiet luxury with a roar on the secondary market. Jewelry. A diamond Cuban link can range from sensible to staggering. Credible guides place mid-tier customs around $4,000 to $20,000, while marquee bust-down chains list from $20,000 into six figures. Think spotlight on a chain. Even without stones, solid gold Cubans typically run $2,500 to $12,000 plus, depending on carat and width, or work gear. Because music is the business, not the hobby. A Neumann U87AI, the studio standard vocal mic, usually lands around $3,500 to $3,750 new, the kind of tool that pays itself back in takes. Pair it with Pro Tools. Ultimate, $99 per month or $599 per year. The industry utility bill for serious sessions. And yes, culture staples still matter. A current Air Jordan 1 High OG release hits retail at about $185. The everyday flex that walks as hard as it talks. So there's no garage tour, and that silence is part of the mystique. His portfolio reads like his cadence, steady, deliberate, built to last. Watches that hold value, luggage that travels well, jewelry that can whisper or shout, studio tools that earn. In short, luxury that behaves like an investment, low, controlled, and ready to work. I know this last part might surprise you, and honestly, I was just as shocked when I discovered there are little to no controversies surrounding Be Legit. In a genre where drama often trails artists like a shadow, deep searches through public databases, media archives, and paparazzi logs reveal no verified scandals, feuds, arrests, or public disputes linked to his name. That absence isn't accidental, it fits the man. While many artists became headlines for all the wrong reasons, Be Legit moved through the industry with the calm of someone who knew exactly how to avoid traps, keeping his personal life sealed tight and his reputation as clean as polished steel. He stayed focused on music, family, and longevity, sidestepping the chaos that swallowed so many around him. In the end, the real twist in his story is simple but powerful. The biggest controversy around Be Legit is that he never had one, a rare feat, a quiet strength, and a legacy built not on scandal but on stability. I know, you can feel it. The deeper you go into Be Legit's world, the more you realize his version of luxury isn't loud, chaotic, or performative. It's intentional. It's grown man elegance. It's the kind of wealth that doesn't have to shout because it's already standing tall. Be Legit moves through life with the confidence of a man who's earned every piece he owns. His watches, His matcha timeless. His travel gear, built for real miles, not just pictures. His jewelry, heavy when he wants it to be, subtle when it needs to be. His studio, filled with the kind of high-end tools that don't just cost money. They make money every time he steps to the mic. This is luxury the way legends live it. Quiet, deliberate, built to last. No flashy gimmicks, no desperate flexes. Just a steady accumulation of quality, value, and legacy. Like a slow, confident bass line carrying a whole track without ever needing attention. So as we wrap this journey into the life of a Vallejo icon, remember this: Be Legit's luxury isn't about proving something. It's about living something. A life crafted through hustle. A life elevated through smart choices. A life that whispers power instead of screaming it. If this deep dive into his world inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss another breakdown of hip-hop royalty and the lives they built behind the music. Until next time, stay focused, stay grinding, and above all, stay legit.